Welcome to the Tiger's Den. This is the voice of Cheryl, and I am Toothless Tiger. I want to start this video off with a disclaimer. I am not an attorney, nor do I practice law. I'm an individual that embarked upon a journey some 9 years ago, wanting to know who were we before we were slaves. In my research and my studies, I came to know that there are 3 United States. Yeah, you heard right. 3 United States. In this video, I'm going to make an attempt to explain them to you. Hopefully something that I say will pique your interest and make you do a little research. I ask you to never take my word for anything that I share with you. Do as I did. I learned from the master teacher, Taj Tariq Bey, and he always gives us keys, and then he tells us to research, to prove him wrong. And I tell you, as you start researching, you would really like for him to be wrong on a lot of things. But I've come to know the same knowledge that he shared with me, I verified it. And so here I go in an attempt to explain to you the 3 United States. The standing 1945 Supreme Court definition of the term United States. The term United States may be used in any one of the several senses. Number 1, it may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. Number 2, it may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends. Or number 3, it may be the collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. Then it gives case law. Hooven Allison Co versus Evatt, 324 U.S. 652, 1945. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, definition of United States. United States. This term has several meanings. Number 1, it may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns and families of nations. Number 2, it may designate territory over which sovereignty of the United States extends. Or number 3, it may be collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. And it gives the Hooven Allison case versus Evatt, U.S., Ohio, 324, U.S. 652, 65, S.CT. 870, 880, 89, L.ED. 1252. Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition. Question: which one are you? By the informer. Number 1, I am a citizen, the capital C, of the United States. Number 1, like you are a citizen of China, capital C. Here you have defined yourself as a national from a nation with regard to another nation. It is perfectly okay to call yourself a citizen of the United States. That's with the capital C. Number 1. This is what everybody thinks the tax statutes are inferring. But notice the capital C in citizen and where it is placed. Please go back to basic English. Number 2. I am a United States, number 2, citizen, small c. Here you have defined yourself as a person residing in the District of Columbia, one of its territories or federal enclaves, and in parentheses, area within a union state, or living abroad. which could be in one of the states of the Union or a foreign country. Therefore, you are possessed by the entity United States too, in parentheses, Congress, because citizen is small case. Again, go back to basic English. This is the United States. Number 2, the tax statutes are referring to, unless stated otherwise, such as in 26 USC 6103, paren B, paren 5. Number 3, I am a citizen, capital C, of these United States. Number 3. Here, you have defined yourself as a citizen of all the 50 states, united by and under the Constitution. You are not possessed by the Congress, United States too, in parentheses. In this way, you have a national domicile, not a state or United States. Number 2, domicile and are not subject to any instrumentality or subdivision of corporate governmental entities. A Ticket to Liberty by Laurie Jacques. It is noticeable that possessions of the United States 2 and sovereign states of the United States 3 of America are not joined under the title of United States. The President represents the sovereign United States, which is number 1. In foreign affairs through treaties, Congress represents the sovereign United States, number 2, in territories and possessions with rules and regulations, and the state citizen, small case, are the sovereignty of the United States, number 3, united by and under the Constitution. After becoming familiar with these historical facts, it becomes clear that in the Internal Revenue Code, Section 7701, paren A, paren 9, the term United States 2 is defined in the second of these senses as stated by the Supreme Court. It designates the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States 2 extends. The federal zone over which the sovereignty of the United States 2 extends is the District of Columbia, the territories and possessions belonging to Congress, and a limited amount of land within the states of the Union called federal enclaves. The federal zone by supreme law. The Secretary of the Treasury can only claim exclusive jurisdiction over these federal zones and citizens of this zone. In particular, the federal enclaves within the 50 states can only come under the exclusive jurisdiction of Congress if they consist of land which has been properly ceded to Congress by the act of a state legislature. A good example of a federal enclave is a ceded military base. The authority to exercise exclusive legislative jurisdiction over the District of Columbia and the federal enclave originates in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution. By virtue of the exclusive authority that is vested in Congress by this clause, Congress shall have the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 miles square, in parentheses, as may, by session of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States, number 2, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. The power of Congress to exercise exclusive legislative authority over its territories and possessions as Distinct from the District of Columbia and the federal enclaves, is given by a different authority in the U.S. Constitution. The authority is Article 4, Section 3, Clause 2, as follows. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needed rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. Number 2. Within these areas, it is essential to understand that the Congress is not subject to the same constitutional limitations which restricts its power in the areas of land over which the 50 states exercise their respective sovereign authorities. The United States may acquire territory by conquest or by treaty, and may govern it through the exercise of the power of Congress conferred by Section 3 of Article 4 of the Constitution. In exercising this power, Congress is not subject to the same constitutional limitations as when it is legislating for the United States. Number 3. And in general, the guarantees of the Constitution, save as they are limitations upon the exercise of executive and legislative power when exerted for or over our insular possessions, extend to them only as Congress, in the exercise of its legislative power over territory belonging to the United States. Number 2, has made those guarantees applicable, and that same case, Hooven and Allison Co versus Evatt, 324 U.S. 652, 1945. In other words, the guarantees of the Constitution extend to the federal zone only as Congress makes those guarantees applicable, either to the territory or to the citizens of that zone, or both. Langdale, the status of our new territories. 12 Harvard Law Review, 365-371. Thirdly, the term United States has often been used to designate all territory over which the sovereignty of the United States do extend, and I should say extended. The conclusion, therefore, is that while the term United States has 3 meanings, only the first and second of these are known to the Constitution, and that is equivalent to saying that the Constitution of the United States, number 3, as such, does not extend beyond the limits of the states which are united by and under it. A proposition, the truth of which will, it is believed, be placed beyond doubt by an examination of the instances in which the term United States is used in the Constitution. No court is to be charged with the knowledge of foreign laws, but they are well understood to be facts which must, like other facts, be proved before they can be received in a court of justice. It is equally well settled that the several states of the Union are to be considered as, in this respect, foreign to each other, and that the courts of one state are not presumed to know, and therefore not bound to take judicial notice of the laws of another state. And the case law that gives for that is Hanley versus Donahue, 116 U.S. 1, 29 L period ED period 535-6 S period CT period 242, 244, 1885. And any time that you hear S period CT, that's Supreme Court. So that's a Supreme Court case. Try applying sections 1817 and 432 to the Secretary of the Treasury's jurisdictional claims for the Internal Revenue laws. The term United States, too, when used in a geographical sense, includes any territory under the sovereignty of the United States, too. It includes the states, the District of Columbia, the possessions and territories of the United States 2, the territorial waters of the United States 2, the airspace over the United States 2, and the seabed and subsoil of those submarine areas which are adjacent to the territorial waters of the United States 2, and over which the United States 2 has exclusive rights in accordance with international law with respect to the exploration and exploitation of natural resources. And that is 26 CFR 1.911-2, Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, definition of foreign state. The several United States, 3, are considered foreign to each other except as regards their relations as common members of the Union. The term foreign nations, as used in a statement of the rule that the laws of foreign nations should be proved in a certain matter, should be construed to mean all nations and states other than that in which the action is brought, and hence one state of the Union is foreign to another in the sense of that rule. Congress still refers to the 50 states as countries. B. The Congress consents to the acceptance and retention by any judge so authorized of reimbursement from the countries referred to in subsection A. And that is 28 U.S.C. 297, 111988. Private international law assumes a more important aspect in the United States than elsewhere, for the reason that the several states, although united under the same sovereign authority and governed by the same laws for all national purposes embraced by the federal Constitution, are otherwise, at least so far as private international law is concerned, in the same relation as foreign countries. The great majority of questions of private international law are therefore subject to the same rules when they arise between two states of the Union as when they arise between two foreign countries. And in the ensuing pages, the words state, nation, and country are used synonymously and interchangeably, there being no intention to distinguish between the several states of the Union and foreign countries by the use of varying terminology. And that is 16 AM JUR 2nd, Conflict of Laws, Section 2. Foreign country. A foreign country is any territory, including the airspace, territorial waters, seabed, and subsoil, under the sovereignty of a government other than the United States 2. It does not include U.S. 2 possessions or territories. And then instructions for Form 2555, Foreign Earned Income, Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Code Service. Foreign country. And it has H. The term foreign country, when used in a geographical sense, includes any territory under the sovereignty of a government other than that of the United States 2. It includes the territorial waters of the foreign country, determined in accordance with the laws of the United States 2, the airspace over the foreign country, and the seabed and subsoil of those submarine areas which are adjacent to the territorial waters of the foreign country, and over which the foreign country has exclusive rights, in accordance with international law, with respect to the exploration and exploitation of natural resources. And that is 26 CFR 1.911-2, H. The issue of jurisdiction as it relates to sovereignty is a major key to understanding our system under our Constitution. This is the Omnibus Addendum 2, page 11. A Ticket to Liberty by Laurie Jock. When reading the various acts of Congress which had declared various people to be citizens of the United States, it is immediately apparent that many are simply declared citizens of the United States 3, while others are declared to be citizens of the United States 2, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States 2. The difference is that the first class of citizens arise when that person is born out of the territorial jurisdiction of the United States 2. Government. 3A, AM, Jur. 1420, Aliens and Citizens explains. A person is born subject to the jurisdiction of the United States 2 for purposes of acquiring citizenship at birth, if his birth occurs in territory over which the United States 2 is sovereign. Are y'all getting the difference in the numbers in which I'm calling out? I'm going to go back when I finish this article to remind you of what 1, 2, and 3 means. And I would hope that you would have a pen and paper and take notes so you can go back and refer to what I'm saying. Congress must be considered in 2 distinct characters. I think I skipped a section. Let me just read this in case I read it already. It just means I read it again. So, I want to say this. On one hand, Congress is empowered to enact public law for the 50 states, subject to certain restrictions. On the other hand, it is also empowered to enact municipal statutes for the federal zone, subject to a different set of restrictions. Now, Congress must be considered in 2 distinct characters. In one character as legislating for the states, in the other as a local legislature for the district. In the latter character, it is admitted the power of levying direct taxes may be exercised, but it is contended for district purposes only. In like manner as the legislature of a state may tax the people of a state for state purposes. Without inquiring at present into the soundness of this distinction, its possible influence on the application in this district of the first article of the Constitution and of several of the amendments may not be altogether unworthy of consideration. And this is Lowborough versus Blake, 15 U.S. 5 Wheat 317-5L.ed.98-1820. And I'm going to spell Lowborough in case somebody want to look this up. It's Loughboroughh. And if you pronounce it different, good. And exercising this power to dispose of and make all needed rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States 2, Congress is not subject to the same constitutional limitations as when it is legislating for the United States 3. That goes back to the Hooven Allison Co versus Evatt, 324 U.S. 652, 1945. Various definitions of the term United States. Black's Law Dictionary definition of state defines one of the 50 states of the Union. The section of territory occupied by one of the United States 3, one of the component commonwealths or states of the United States of America. Uniform Probate Code section 1-201, paren 40, defines a federal state. Any state of the United States 2, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and any territory or possession subject to the legislative authority of the United States. And then it gives IRC, which is the Internal Revenue Code, 4612, paren A, paren 4, paren A. Paren A, in general, the term United States means the 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, any possession of the United States, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands. Internal Revenue Code 6103, paren B, paren 5. Paren 5 says, state. The term state means A, any of the 50 states, the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, the Canal Zone, Guam, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The Internal Revenue Code 7701, paren A, paren 9. When used in this title, were not otherwise distinctly expressed or manifestly incompatible with the intent thereof, paren 9. United States. The term United States, when used in a geographical sense, includes only the states and the District of Columbia. Number 10, state. The term state shall be construed to include the District of Columbia, where such construction is necessary to carry out provisions of this title. Internal Revenue Code 3306, J2. For the purpose of this chapter, number 2, United States. The term United States, when used in a geographical sense, includes the states, the District of Columbia, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And that is the end of the 3 United States. And at the bottom of where I found this information, it tells us 2 United States and the law. The 2 United States, why federal law doesn't apply to you. And so that may be something that you want to look up. But as I stated, I'm going to go back and remind you of the 3 different United States so that you can understand and hopefully start deciphering what they're really saying to us. The term United States may be used in any one of several senses. Number 1, it may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. Number 2, it may designate the territory over which the sovereignty of the United States extends. Or number 3, it may be the collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. And then it gives case law, Hooven Allison Co versus Evatt 324 U.S. 652, 1945. This was very interesting reading to me because when it asks the question about the 3 citizens, which one are you? It really kind of breaks down what they're saying, in my opinion, and maybe you can get in the chat or in the comments because we're not live and tell me what you think. Or if you want to discuss it, like I said, on tomorrow, you can feel free to let's discuss it. I don't know any more than you know. I just know what I read and how I, comprehend it and process it. Perhaps you read it and comprehend and process it a little differently, and we can come to a consensus. Maybe not, but it's certainly something to ponder over, especially with the plight of our people, and we're always trying to figure out why we keep getting treated like this. Well, one of the things that the Honorable Noble Drew Ali spoke of was not being exposed to civics. And with that disadvantage, we are really taken advantage of. And a lot of things that we think are discriminatory, again, I use the word hegemony because that word means one group dominating over another. So that group could be the 1% of the gazillionaires while all of us are scrambling, trying to make it. And then we have the barrier of color so that we can be divided, and then we're conquered. But as a people, I would hope that we're kind of tired of being divided and being conquered, and we're kind of tired of, beating up on each other. It is a system in place that allows us and causes us to do a lot of the things that we do, although we make the ultimate decision. But what are we making that decision from? What's driving us to do that? And normally it's the conditions in which we live. So I'm just trying to throw something out here to give you something to think about, something a little bit different than what's going on today on YouTube. I hope that you would share this with others, have these discussions, and perhaps more would want to come and grab a little of this knowledge that I have. I don't have a whole lot, but that I have, I'm willing to share. I learned a long time ago, you can only keep what you have by giving it away. And so when you do that, you will just see how things will come to you, or knowledge will come to you, and you wouldn't even be looking for the knowledge, but it will come because you started out seeking. And that's what it's all about, seeking to know more and to be better. No matter what you are, who you are, what you do, what you don't do, if you could just be better today than you were yesterday, and strive and make, plans, whether they go through or not, but just make the plans to be better tomorrow. You would be surprised at the things that you would accomplish. I'm a person, I function better in a chaotic situation. And it's weird that I was called and labeled an agent of chaos. Well, when I looked that up, it went back to a movie, and it went back to the X-Files. And so I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that I function better on the edge. And that's crazy, but that's the way I function. And so once you learn who you are and how you operate, then you can operate to be the best you that you can be. And you don't have to be what someone wants or needs you to be. Just be. And I found for me, that's freedom. It took me a long time to get here, but I'm here. And so I'm like Drake. I started from the bottom, but now I'm here. And I like where I am. But again, when they break down which one are you, the citizens, it gives you the power and lets you know the power structure. Whether the president has what it says, I am a citizen of the United States, and that's number one. And that's like you are a citizen of China. Here you have defined yourself as a national from a nation with regard to another nation. It is perfectly okay to call yourself a citizen of the United States, number one. This is what everybody thinks the tax statutes are inferring. But notice the capital C in citizen and where it is placed. Please go back to basic English. Number two, I am a United States, number two, citizen with a small c. Here you have defined yourself as a person residing in the District of Columbia, one of its territories or federal enclaves, area within a union state, or living abroad, which could be in one of the states of the union or a foreign country. Therefore, you are possessed by the entity United States too, in parentheses mean Congress. So Congress has the authority over these territories is what it's telling us, because citizen is small case. Again, go back to basic English. This is the United States too. The tax statutes are referring to, unless stated otherwise, such as 26 USC 6103, paren B, paren 5. Then we have number 3, and this is what we really need to hear. Please hear what I'm saying to you. I am a citizen, capital letter, of the United States, number 3. Here you have defined yourself as a citizen of all the 50 states united by and under the Constitution. You are not possessed by Congress, United States too. In this way, you have a national domicile, not a state or United States. Number 2, domicile and are not subject to any instrumentality or subdivision of corporate governmental entities. That's saying something to us. And so right now, I'm going to get ready to bring this to a close. I hope that you would take notes, get you a pen and paper, and write down what this is talking about, because it's very powerful if you catch what it's saying. Also, I'd like to remind you, if you come to a word, and this is just a word to the wise, but if you should come to a word that you're not familiar with or you don't use regularly, please get your dictionary and look the word up before you proceed, so you can get a better understanding of what it's saying. Also, you can always do the etymology on words. One good thing about law, they are more true to the origin of a word. But sometimes we take words for granted, and people say words don't matter. I beg to differ. Words are very important, and that's why you have to say what you mean and mean what you say. I do know this: in a court of law, you don't get do-overs. Whatever you say is what they hold you to. And so we're in the court of public opinion. And so you should hold yourself and your knowledge as if you're standing before someone that can make a decision on your life for the rest of your life. That's how I've learned to live my life today. And so I just pass on the keys that was passed on to me. There is so much knowledge for us to get, and it's overwhelming, so we can't learn it all at one time. I'm not trying to give it all to you at one time, but I just want to give you some things to just research and start thinking about and speaking, to your children about. We've let other people tell our story long enough. That's what history is. It's his story. It is not ours. So we need to tell our story. And if we do the work, we can tell a true story. But if we just go by old wives' tales and the things that were passed down, I'm not saying that those things were not true, because that's where most of our truth came from. If we got to talk to our grandparents or our great-grandparents, a lot of people didn't get to do that. And now today, the grandparents are almost as young as the parents, it seems. And so they don't seem to be passing down what we need as a people. But I know that it is our time, and we are going to rise again, but we're going to rise in our intellect, because I know the battle is not won, or I should say the war is not won on the battlefield. It's won in the war room. When you sit down and you strategize, and when you know and you learn and you teach what you know, not what you believe, not what you think, not your opinion, but you have to know. And that's what I would like to do, is just share what I know and ask you to research for yourself. And hopefully you too will come to know the truth that I know. There is a commercial, I don't see it anymore, but it's one with the Army. And they used to say, be all that you can be. And I still believe in that one. But the latest one that they had was become an army of one. And that's what I suggest, that you become an army of one, working toward the same goal. If we all become an army of one, working toward the same goal, if we're afraid of being snuffed out, they can't kill us all. And we must know that we can't keep searching for a hero or a leader outside of ourselves. We have to become that hero or that leader that we really want to come and get us out of this situation, because COINTELPRO is real. And it started, they say, with J. Edgar Hoover. But of course, we know people have been selling each other out since way back, as I shared with you all, before, since, Uncle Tom days, and even before Uncle Tom. So we have to just know, when we fell in 1492, it was because of what they call conversos. I have to always refer to us falling because I am a Moor by bloodline, and I believe that we all are. As we start learning and studying, we learn about dynasties, empires, kingdoms, and we will understand that this, where we are, is Morocco, the empire, and this is the land, and we are the people of the land, but we've been separated from the land. Just if you listened by those 3 different United States, it goes a little deeper than that, but that'll kind of give you an idea. One of the things that we've never been taught is to focus on is jurisdiction. Most of us don't even use that word in our vocabulary, so we certainly don't have a concept of what that means. But I suggest to you to look into the Black's Law Dictionary, and I've supplied people with the 4th edition because it's a PDF online that was free of charge. They probably have other editions. I purchased several editions myself, and I went to like the Half Price bookstore or the Thrifty Book. I didn't purchase them new because they're very expensive, but you can look in. The older the dictionary, the more to the truth that it is. When you start getting younger, like coming up to today's time, they start taking most of the case law out of the dictionary, and then they start cutting back, trimming down. You know how we like to make everything neat and compact, trimming down on the definition. So it's very important to get the older dictionaries so you can get a truer meaning of the word. But you can look these things up, and I guarantee you it was liberating for me, and it's life sustaining. I really feel good about it, and it helps me to make what I think are better decisions. Perhaps not all the time, but most of the time I think it helps me to make better decisions because I have a concept of what has happened to us and what is happening to us right now, and the role that we play in it. And we play a very big role because a lot of things that we do, we volunteer to do. And whether we have knowledge that we're doing that or not, nobody cares. The fact is that we're doing it. And until we start learning the system that is in place to keep us in the position that we're in, we're going to continue to be in that position. So I would just suggest that you take as many notes as you can and research whenever you have an opportunity. And if this is something you're not interested in, just listen to me, because I think I, kind of tell it the best I can, and I do it, with everything I have, because it changed my life. It really did change my life to know that I really am somebody, and I really do have a bloodline, and that my birthright was stolen. And so what they're doing to me is not based on the color of my skin. That's just a story that they tell, and one that we bought hook, line, and sinker. If you look at most of all of the little, what do you call those little things when they're making up little statements? I can't think of it at this moment. But, everything is, up the river without a paddle, and, navigating through the waters. And it's just so many things that's related to ships, water, seas, that they use. And somebody will think of it when they look at this. And if you can think of the word, then please put it in there. That's the part of me I love, the part that keeps me human. And so it also reminds me that I am an imperfect being with a God inside of me, having a human experience, being the best me that I can be, generator, operator, and destroyer. That's what God is to me. And that means that I use the mind, the brain that I was given, and now I'm learning to use it apart from the herd, because we were trained with that herd mentality, and we just follow the leader. No matter where the leader is going, we just follow. And we don't like to think of ourselves as being that way, but if we look at our behavior and our condition and our living situations today, we can truly be honest and say that's who we have been, but no more. And we're going to think for ourselves, and we're going to learn what we need to learn, and we're going to handle our business. I guarantee you, if more of us would start doing that, life for us would change overnight. It really would. And we don't have to pull out no weapons. We don't have to cuss nobody out. We don't have to do anything but our due diligence and do what it takes to make life better for us and our offspring. Too many people really did die for us to get where we are today, and they died not even knowing the truth. Some did. Some even died because they refused to give up their culture, their language, with their belief system, their clothing. Some really chose to die. But for those that chose to live, they gave us an opportunity to come here and do our part. And we do have a part. What that is, I don't know. I don't know what your part is. I know my part is what I'm doing, and I love doing it. So I thank everybody for joining me. I hope that you will continue to come back. The way my mind works, I don't really just sit down and write out a plan. Like I say, I work on out of order, but it's order for me. It works. And so if you have something, maybe, I don't know if I know the answers. I don't know if I have the knowledge of it. But if you have any suggestions or something that you want to ask about or something, you can post that in an email to me. My email address scrolls by. It's toothlesstiger7@gmail.com. I'd like for you, if you would, to please like this video. And if you would, leave a comment. It really helps put me into the algorithm, because the algorithm is actually based on how many people like what you're doing and if they share what you're doing. So I would ask you to do that for me. On that note, I'm going to leave the Tiger's Den. Goodbye.
This video was made for education and entertainment purposes only. There's no malice or ill intent from the content creator. So please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great evening. Good night.